Welcome to Feminized. It's time for a show that turns the spotlight on the powerful women shaping cannabis culture. The cannabis industry is on fire and women are sparking it up. If you like the show, please subscribe. You can also subscribe to the Feminized podcast with Liz Grow on YouTube and Instagram. The future is feminized. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest and friend, Ronit Pinto. Ronit is the founder and publisher of HoneySuckle Magazine. HoneySuckle is a female-founded, award-winning culture magazine that explores all of the taboo topics in society, all of the things that you and I need to talk about in depth. I had the best time filming this episode with Ronit in Austin during South by Southwest. Y'all enjoy. Hey, sis. You're now listening to the Feminized podcast. Welcome, Ronit Pinto, to the Feminized podcast. This is a place where I get to bring the most inspiring women in the cannabis industry to tell me about the exciting things they're doing and inspire other women to be closer to the plant, to follow their dreams, and just to not be afraid to make a mark and leave a mark. So, Ronit, you're an Austin original. How did you get from Austin to New York as the publisher of HoneySuckle Media?
So I was
big question. Let's just start with
the simple. You really want to know? I was actually born in the Detroit area. I was born in Detroit, and my parents moved to Texas when I was like 1.5. And my dad is from Israel, actually, so he was an immigrant. And we moved to Texas, and I was raised in Arlington, and then went to school in Austin, and then kind of flip-flop between Detroit, Tel Aviv, and then finally in New York, yeah. And then I started HoneySuckle in Detroit, and I was also kind of working in film at the same time. I did get a job as a publisher's assistant. That was really cool, and I just liked both worlds and just decided to go for it.
Just decided to go for it. Has that been the way that your life has basically taken shape? Are you that type of woman who you just decide to go for it and you go for it? Or is there, what is your process to, making big risks, taking big risks?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I have always been a risk taker, always, since I felt like I was an adult, which was honestly like around 12. Like I just felt, I think some people, and you might too, like you kind of come into yourself at a certain age, and that might be viewed as too young by others, but that's not necessarily the case. So for me, I got into a lot of there was conflict between me and my surroundings, for just kind of being myself or doing my thing, and then that can lead to a lot of self-doubt, I think, later in life when people are constantly telling you, no, you can't, all of that, and it definitely had some psychological and implications. And so at a certain point, I was literally just like, fuck you, everyone, yes. No one knows, I don't think anyone really knows what's best for you except for you. And at that point, it was just like I was at a time in my life where I kind of had to do it myself, so...
Wow.
That's kind of what happened.
Yeah, incredible. You just went for it. And then what was that first big success that you had that signaled to you that, okay, I can trust myself. I am on the right path?
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of opportunities that kind of like that. You know what I mean? Where they were like big leaps from where I was to where I wanted to be and stuff like that. I didn't always seize them, but there was a point where I could look back and be like, oh, I do have the ability to do this stuff. I can, and if I could do it for that person or back then, I can do it now. And I just started to again just go for it, and then trust my instincts. Because that's another thing that gets sort of left out of the conversation in terms of work and life instincts. And I thought, yeah, what's going to happen if I just do what I think, what I want? You know what I mean? And no one can kind of say no. And then that's a lot of kind of the trajectory, which is challenging, but it's good.
Absolutely. So how do you, now that, HoneySuckle Media is it's a successful media company, how would you describe HoneySuckle Media? Because I don't want to put words into your mouth.
We are cannabis and culture publication, B2B and B2C. I think that our conversations extend beyond cannabis into, political culture, pop culture, racial issues, economic issues. So I think that cannabis is a great lens to look at things through, but I feel like the messaging is definitely beyond, environmental issues, things like that.
Absolutely, and you've got HoneySuckle Magazine, Honey Pot, which is cannabis exclusive, and then HoneySuckle Girl.
Well, those have kind of merged.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did have Honey Pot, and then during COVID, because we had kind of like two distinct print magazines. Honestly, what happened was we started HoneySuckle before the MRTA, which, the tax law or the marijuana law in New York passed. So we started it before a lot of these states flipped and went legal. So people were confused, and all the advertisers and stuff were like, you need two publications, one mainstream and one cannabis. So we're like, okay. And now everything's coming back together. So it's all in one, and yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, all in one, all in this beautiful, just gorgeously put together magazine. So it's print and digital.
Yeah.
But you've got to have the print. I feel like there's just something about flipping through these pages, and I mean, it's just so beautiful. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, you've done an incredible job. People want to touch it.
Yeah.
Like, we definitely saw that at the party. People want to hold it, and it's very special. But I guess so the big question is, how do you justify listening to your instincts when you have other parties who have interests in the company, investors and advisors, and people who are ostensibly helping you on your way, and you say, hey, I have an instinct, this is the direction I'm going to go. How do you justify that?
Well, right now we're independent still. So we're ad and sponsor supported, which, is a struggle.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is ad and sponsor supported. You do this with ads and sponsors, not investors.
We have not yet. We need one.
Oh my God. This is so inspirational. I just have to say, wow.
But,
this is incredible. I mean, it's...
Thank you.
Yeah.
We also do billboards, which helps. We were the first to put cannabis and hemp brands on billboards in Times Square, so we're able to do these really cool social messaging billboard campaigns that we did for Indigenous Day and things like that. But right now, we're independent, and like I said, ad and sponsored supportive. It's definitely a challenge, but I know I and my partner, Sam, you guys work together, and the other people that we work with are just really, the people I work with are very talented and able to do different things. So we do a lot of this stuff ourselves, we wear a ton of hats. I'm sure everyone does that has their own company. Right,
absolutely. That whole do-it-yourself attitude and build it yourself and finding a way is just, I find that's so strong within the women entrepreneurial subset, women entrepreneur subset. It's just a refuse to lose attitude and use what you have, right? It's about using the resources that you have.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read a quote that you gave about HoneySuckle, and I'm going to read it, and I would love for you to expand because it was captivating to me.
Okay.
You see HoneySuckle as an answer to our dark urges to explore the connection between beauty and darkness and discover the nuances of life. Talk to me about that. I felt it. I felt it.
Thank you. I said that kind of more in sort of the beginning of the inception of the idea. I think that for a lot of us, probably women, even I would argue, we go through things and you have to deal with a lot of stuff, and it's just that stuff can accumulate, inside of you, and then it's what do you do with that? You know what I mean? Do you get angry? Do you do something negative? And I just wanted to turn it into something constructive and positive. It's only later in life and through my journey or trajectory that I realized I think it was a direct response to what we'd call the patriarchal system, or these limited things that are imposed upon us. So I think for me that translated to darkness, having to deal with a lot of that for so long. Yeah. And so, yeah. HoneySuckle was just kind of like, let's breathe, like do something else.
Let's breathe. Let's talk about it, Elise. Let's talk about it in a different way, maybe a more empowering way.
Yeah.
Is really kind of the feel and the vibe that I get from HoneySuckle. It doesn't shy away from the taboo at all. Mm-hmm. It doesn't shy away from the truths, the hard truths that we face, I think, in the society. But it does so in a way that's refreshing and empowering. And it makes me feel like there is a community or a tribe, if you will, that it's talking about these issues, and we don't have to keep them inside or just deal with them, by ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then I think too, like, there's kind of like not enough color in the world in terms of beauty, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think creating like a really pretty, visually stimulating publication, which is part of the film background too, I think, is like part of it for us.
Wow. So how has HoneySuckle grown through the years and evolved?
We started our first sort of like zine in 2015, and that was called Rebel Yell. It was really cool with like punk rock model, from Detroit on the front.
Yes.
And then we just kept going. So like had like my first 3 smaller issues, and then some bigger ones, and then we got into cannabis in 2017-16, and it was when the conversation was really amping up, especially in New York. So we had all of the like New Jersey Cannabis Commission people come, like Leo Bridgewater, Kim B, Jake Plowden, and they were all like, we invited about 12 people into our living room, and they just like totally schooled us on, because most of them are minorities, like black and brown,
Sure.
not Anglo-American. And they explained like the war on drugs and their personal experiences with cannabis, which I think if you're coming from the outside, you wouldn't necessarily know. It's something you really have to learn or have experienced.
Truly.
And that's when we really started scaling. I think cannabis is a huge conversation. I mean, for me, it was just like a consumption thing, right? Something I did.
Yeah.
And it didn't have all these other things. And so we got national distribution in 2018, I think, like Barnes & Noble and Books A Million and all of that. And then COVID hit, and now we're doing more dispensary, like free model, and then you can buy them on our site. But we've just been scaling. Like, I think that, as much as people say print is dead, there are a lot of people who still want it, and I think that, digitally.
I'm one of those people. I like to hold something, and I know that I'm not different. I know that I'm not the only one. I mean, there's just something about revisiting an ad or a page over and over again. You see different things, you learn different things, and I don't know, there's just something grounding about having a print publication in your home, and then something new on a regular basis, but with a consistency of the spirit, really, the freedom, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm getting something new every time a new edition comes out. I'm getting the latest news, and I think that's what I love about it. I can hang on to it and just like study it.
Awesome.
I was an English major though, so I do like to read and circle things and highlight things over and over. Okay, so here we are in Austin.
Yeah.
Okay. South by Southwest is happening. You had an incredible panel yesterday on censorship. Tell me about how that went.
I mean, that was very exciting, right? Like, it was kind of a last minute add-on, and I was nervous because I've never spoken at South by Southwest before, but it went well. I think it's certainly like an area I can speak to. We've had censorship in quite a few areas with the magazine, and Juanjo and Javier were really cool. So like honored to, be able to be on a panel with them. That was cool.
Yeah, so it's about cannabis and censorship. It's a really hot topic right now, huge, because as we see, alcohol brands have unfettered access to our advertising channels, to our Facebook, to basically everywhere. But yet cannabis is being locked out. Can you expand upon that and really what you're seeing as far as censorship goes?
Yeah, so the panel actually, interestingly, was not on the cannabis track. It was on the brand and advertising track.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think it was...
Good.
Yeah, right?
Good.
Exactly.
Taking it out of the, this is the cannabis track, but brand and advertising, it opens it up to a whole new audience.
Yeah.
If folks who have no clue about the censorship that's happening in cannabis.
Exactly, or are very educated about it.
Right.
So yeah, so that was cool. And then Weed Maps just tried to pass their, or they submitted a Super Bowl commercial, and it was like broccoli, so they didn't barely even mention cannabis. I think they said the word once, and that was rejected. And the Super Bowl, I think it's NBC, is like notoriously rejecting these cannabis commercials.
Yes.
And so for us, we. We've had a lot of them. Like one of the most heinous ones that I did mention on the panel was a niece bought some magazines for her uncle who's incarcerated, because we actually had a distribution model for prisons, and we write a lot about social justice, and there's people.
You had Kaimani Marley on the cover, was it the last?
Damien.
Sorry, Damien,
yeah.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and so you really do shine a light on social justice issues, absolutely. You are one of the top publications that does that so consistently.
Yeah.
So what happened with prisons?
So we have people who were previously incarcerated who write for us, and they know people who are still incarcerated, so they write about them or advocate for them. So his niece bought the issue for him, and they sent a rejection letter that they wouldn't deliver it to him.
Wow, no reason, just sorry.
They said cannabis, and in Washington State where it's legal, and by the way, you can't smoke a magazine anyways, or even use it for paraphernalia. So you could, I guess, but and they said there was nudity, which there wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
So keeping the truth from those who are suffering because they were victims of the war on drug in the first place. So not even giving them connection to their tribe, just completely cutting them off.
Yeah, it's pretty humiliating, I think, for them.
It is. It's humiliating. It's inhumane. It's and it's sick. I mean, for the last 100 years, we've all lived under the yoke of prohibition.
Yeah.
And in so many ways, we've seen how it's just been working to, I think, dismantle a healthy society. The most obvious example being, black men incarcerated at an inordinately high rate, taking them away from their families. How do you feel that HoneySuckle Magazine really helps to push the cannabis agenda within? I'll just leave it there. How do you think HoneySuckle Magazine helps push the cannabis agenda?
Good question. I think because we came at it from a not purely industry perspective, we are more broad in pop culture. So I think and hope that it ties in a bunch of things together, right? So it's elevating the conversation. We've been told that. So it's you could talk about the tech, you could talk about the plant, you could talk about all this stuff, which we do, but I think connecting it to the environment, to celebrities, to, just regular life.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's it. It's not about the cannabis.
Yeah.
It's about these fascinating things and people in our lives who are fascinating to us and inspiring to us.
Yeah.
And cannabis just so happens to be, a sidekick, I think, in the story. That's really what I've found about HoneySuckle. And cannabis isn't even in the name. It's a sweet.
It's true.
It's a sweet name, HoneySuckle.
Yeah.
Where'd it come from?
I was meditating, right?
I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Coming from the yoga master.
Not even close.
But yeah, I think I was just meditating or whatever it is you do when you're in the zone, and came up with the name. I kind of had a vision around it, and even some imagery, and we created a video around it. The first video I created for HoneySuckle was this ethereal kind of fairy with these origami flowers, and just everything was kind of in bloom, and it went from black and white to color, and I guess that is kind of symbolic for who we are.
Beautiful,
yeah.
Beautiful. And you have, and that's, HoneySuckle has grown to become this I mean, it's great because it's a sweet name, but it's an edgy magazine.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's this tension there when people talk about HoneySuckle Magazine, right? Do you feel that? Did you set out to create that tension from the beginning, or it just came to you and you moved on that instinct?
I think, those were all good questions. Well, I did select the name at the time because bees are around honeysuckle. So, I mean, we all like that, right? Some dichotomy or tension. I don't know if it was fully strategic, but I knew they're all the same to me. It's just like dark, light, good, bad, not fully the same, but it's like, it's all just life, Right. So I wanted to create a holistic conversation, I guess, or publication. No one wants to feel censored.
No.
No.
No. We want to feel free. We want to feel, we want to feel like we're learning something new. We're being fascinated when we pick up a copy of a magazine, when we open up a website. Teach me something new, shock me, thrill me,
Yeah.
Tell me something exciting about my life, because it's really boring right now. No, I'm just kidding. But really, I mean, look, that's you're trying to reach the masses, You're trying to reach the masses and open up their minds, and I think you've definitely crushed that.
Oh, cool.
With this. So what's next for you and for HoneySuckle?
We are, we're at that business point where we need to sort of figure out, like, are we, raising, pivoting, adding to our team? We definitely need to add to the team. We have, like, our creative branch is growing. So Sam, my fiance, who you met, is an incredible filmmaker and photographer, and I have a background too, so together we were able to produce all this stuff. So we have been doing videos for some of our clients, and the film aspect. So I would love for it to be like, ultimately, like, Vice Films, they have like a publication, a platform, and a film aspect.
Yes.
That would be great.
Yes.
Whether, I'm not sure we can take it that far, they're huge, but we have to kind of see, like, what makes sense. We have some print partnerships with some exciting people, so that they're all the revenue streams are open, everything's available. I think we just have to figure out, like, what we can physically do and what we need help for and what makes sense with our changing world, right?
Right.
It changes all the time.
Absolutely. And with such big ideas, you certainly can't do it alone, and small team can only go so far.
Yeah.
So, scaling so that you can reach more communities. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. And I don't think that the idea of a, kind of a Vice type model is too big for HoneySuckle at all. I think we absolutely need that in our society. We do. And, we support it. Let us know how we can help.
Okay, gosh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so how can people find you, Honey?
We are primarily found online, www.honeysucklemag.com. We have an events page now, by the way, if you're in New York.
Yes. I'll be in New York next month for 420.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we do these really cool THC infused and inspired, like, burlesque and art events, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's exactly what everyone wants. Give us something to be excited about and to go out, like, get dressed up for, and the cannabis, I feel like, as an accompaniment to the night out.
Yeah.
If you imbibe, if you're drinking alcohol, the cannabis is the perfect accompaniment to it. Keeps things balanced. It seems to keep things balanced, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And exactly, it's just like you can go for a performance. We're tapping into kind of a new culture, I think, a little bit new demographic with cannabis. So it's like, it's there, but it doesn't have to be your centerpiece, or it can if you want it to.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. It's there, and you can choose whatever you choose.
Exactly.
I think that's the freedom that we all seek. As responsible adults, why can't we enjoy our plant medicine?
Yeah.
Alongside everything else we enjoy, that's completely, completely there and open to us. That may not be the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
I think, and that's really what we're trying to teach Texans. As Grow House, doing what we do, Grow House Media, right? We do a lot of things, but the engine that drives us is bringing information and bringing the truth back to our communities, back to our people who are kept from that. Whoa, The light feels me.
Strobe.
Hold on a moment.
Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, when we, so in 2019, when High Times TV launched, we launched along with them, we launched our show Grow House on High Times TV. It's a really cute web series about two Texans who are passionate about cannabis, who have to leave the state and go all over and just explore. It's very simple. It's like entry-level cannabis for those people who want to learn.
Wow.
And you couldn't even download the High Times TV app in Texas if you had your geolocation turned on your phone.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Talk about censorship. Like, our communities couldn't even have the information in the most PG-13 type of way.
Yeah.
You know, we're not encouraging bad behaviors. We're learning how to dab. You know?
Yeah, Texas is fascinating. I mean, I not in the Texas is just a weird, you know, especially because Austin's such an anomaly in the state, right?
Right. Oh,
So-
it's a, you know, little like blue oasis is what they say. Although, you know, I don't like to refer to those colors as much. I mean, it feels like a sucker's choice.
Oh.
You know, it really does. We're all human, and we all, you know, have rights, and our right is to grow what we choose to grow on our land and take what medicine we choose to take for ourselves and our health and the health of our families.
Yeah.
And to me, that's not Democrat or Republican. And in Texas, you'd be surprised how much bipartisan support we do have.
Yeah.
We do have bipartisan support. It's just higher up in the legislation. Our lieutenant governor, to be specific,
It's really conservative.
incredibly conservative, and I feel like he's supported by big pharma. I feel like, I mean, you know, with politicians, you can follow the numbers.
Yeah.
So there's support from big pharma, and I believe there's support from privatized prisons as well. Because our governor can't even sign bills into law unless our lieutenant governor allows him to see it.
It's so just disgusting.
It's foul. It's
I
foul.
wish we could somehow find that, like, the actual story and do some sort of, like, tell-all documentary. Like, follow him around.
Yeah. I think we should just get an email thread going where I can just put information when I get it and sources, and you can keep it in a file and do with it what you will. But this man is repulsive.
Evil.
He's evil. He's not even from Texas, I like to mention.
Really?
No, and so we went to, so what we do, we you know, you can't just complain about it. I really do want to meet these people that I believe are stopping cannabis progress in Texas and start a conversation and at least find out why, you know, where their perspective is to try to change it. So we went to a rally a couple weeks ago, and it was a nationalistic message. It was not a Texan message at all. It was a red.
Ew.
Let's keep this. It was
Like what?
it was all. Well, he spent about 20 minutes talking about being in the limo with Donald Trump. And, you know, telling these funny stories that don't mean anything, that are really playing to a crowd of 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds who don't want their land taken and who don't want their guns taken, and you help us keep our things. Do you feel that? You know what I'm talking about? And I don't have the words to describe that group, and I don't want the words to describe that group because they're Texans too, and they're my people too.
Yeah.
And they're being marketed to.
Yeah.
Very, very strongly, and so we actively try to break up that illusion of Texas as the perfect state. And it's like, hey, wait a minute, our farmers are suffering. Our farmers are dying off, where the second generation, third generation, fourth, fifth, they don't want to farm anymore. There's nothing there for them. And we're an agriculture state. There's something wrong with that. And so with the fight against cannabis came the fight against hemp as well. Okay, and
Okay.
we don't even need to get into that.
Is that like for the paper? Does he have investments with the paper companies too, do you think? Or
No, it's just ignorance.
Okay.
If we let hemp in, we're letting wacky tobacco in. It's too close. It's almost as if, Ronit, they don't want to fully understand the issue of keeping this plant from the people and putting people in jail. Like, they don't even want to learn.
no.
So, you know, I think
they
you
care.
should blow them up in HoneySuckle.
But you can help us.
I will, definitely. Oh God, you can count on us. Okay. Yeah. So,
love it.
Thank you. I'll get off my.
He's not even Texan.
He's not. He's from Baltimore. He's a slimy
What a poser.
He's a slimy crab sandwich, is what I call him. But okay, so before we go, I ask all of my guests the same 3 questions, and I'm dying to know your answers to them.
Okay.
So the first question is, who is in your dream smoke circle? 3 people, dead or alive.
That's a good question. I feel like it would be in Jamaica. I mean, definitely Bob Marley, I feel like would be, and maybe his son Damien. And then there's this guy, Isaiah, actually, who I met in Jamaica, who was a Rastafari, and we smoked with him in the hills, and he was just like channeling all this really cool information. Yeah, it was so amazing. So actually, I would smoke with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back there in the hills.
Yeah.
You bring Bob and Damien into the hills and just...
Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually thought too much about that, but I feel like I should have a female in there too. But we'll definitely say Isaiah, Bob, and then you.
Oh,
about that?
My God.
What would that be?
That's what I call the golden ticket.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, interestingly enough, and I haven't shared this, I don't share this with a lot of people because it sounds really weird, but I believed, well, at one point in my life, we were going through a really, really tough time with the business, having to make some really tough decisions. And I was super, super stressed. And I was actually taking a shower, and I was raising my arms. They got stuck there. I'm not kidding, they were stuck there. Oh. And in my mind came Rita Marley.
Wow.
Rita visited me. And they were up, I'm like,
oh my God.
Okay, I'm taking it, and it was just, I don't even know what the message was, but it's like, we're doing this.
Oh, that's crazy.
We're gonna keep going.
Awesome.
Like, I had this sense of just, relief. But Rita.
Wow.
I know,
That's
the
cool.
Marley family's so powerful, such a strong force.
Yeah.
And, just our cannabis, not even cannabis, just a strong force in life.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not even cannabis.
Revolutionary.
Right.
Yeah.
Truly. So, okay. Sorry, I digress. Second question. What other woman is inspiring you right now in the cannabis game?
I mean, honestly, I think it's collective. Like, I really do. I think that we just had a photo shoot with some women in Detroit, not Detroit, New York, not all of them. And we had almost 30 women show up, or 27 women. And putting the list together, you realize, women have such a strong presence in cannabis. There are a lot, and I know that we don't take up many of the sweet C-suite spots or board appointments, but there's still a lot of us. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about that? We don't take a lot of the C-suite spots or the board appointments.
I kind of feel like, honestly, we have to kind of do our own, maybe start our own businesses. You know what I mean? I just think that we can try. I don't really know. I have never applied for a C-suite spot, but I mean, if it's a male culture, I don't know, do you even want to be there in the first place? Not to say, I love men, you know what I mean? I love working with men, and we do all the time, but it's do you want to do that, or do you want to create something more aligned with your own values? It's harder, but I also know that post-COVID that's happening. There's more businesses opening, more small businesses. So I would recommend that.
Absolutely, that's great advice.
Yeah.
Don't try to fight the system. Don't try to swim upstream necessarily.
Yeah.
Make your own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I love that. Okay, so last question. Okay. What advice would you give to 13-year-old Ronit?
I'd probably tell her to keep going. Don't worry, you got this. Just keep going.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Good. Don't worry, because I think all of us had our moments where we're I'm never gonna live through this. I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the 8th grade time period. So that's why I like to ask about it, the worst time period I think in a woman's life.
What would you tell yourself?
Oh my God, nobody's ever asked me that.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, God. You gotta trust yourself. This is the only person that matters. The only voice that matters is this one. is this one. And that sounds very selfish, but I was blessed to have, two parents in my home who, certainly weren't perfect, but, I had a 2-parent household, and they guided me. But I think I listened. I was too wrapped up in their thoughts and their validation, and then that transferred over to in school, what do the teachers think of me, and then at work, and so I'm living to please these, authoritarians, and there came a point where it's just like, it wasn't my life any longer.
Wow.
And I'd shut my voice down for so long. I had built up wonderful skills, thankfully, to help me make the leap out of that fucking mindset. But I was definitely kind of wrapped up in that whole checking in with other people and how I'm doing.
Did you have anxiety? Because that could cause anxiety, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I think that's where, running to me was a real outlet and a real freedom. I run a lot as a teenager and, 20s, a lot. And, it's like, what are you running from, sis?
Yeah. That's great that you were just so positive with it. Like, I think I kind of had the opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Just like, fuck you to all the authorities. To the point where it was like, Ronit, think a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, but what is right? There is no right way to change and to evolve and to, I guess, come out of that cocoon, and emerge as an independent person in this insane world that we live in as, women in America trying to do big things. There is no right way to do it. I feel so lucky that I was a runner and I could channel it in that direction. And I think that's where the yoga came in, back to our earlier conversation. I mean, running can take its toll on your body after a while, and I never really considered yoga because it didn't feel as active for me. But I found I got to tap into that, and I channel that way. I channel stress that way. And then, I'm sure I drink too much and smoke too much and all the bad things too. So,
but you seem to be doing all right.
Thanks. Ronit, I'm just, it was such a pleasure to be able to do this in person.
Yeah.
You've been such an inspiration to me and to Patrick. You really are leading the charge. Your voice is so strong. And don't stop. Don't stop. We need you. We need you now more than ever. And I have no doubt that the right group of people who have funds to pump into an organization like HoneySuckle that are doing big things, changing minds, opening minds, will come along and let you do what you need to do freely and unencumbered, because that's the type of investment you need. You need somebody who just trusts you to go with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll find that.
That means a lot.
Oh, I have no doubt. My sister, no doubt. And we want to help you in any way possible.
I would love to work with you guys more and get to know each other more.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely. And it would be great to talk to you offline about working with your partner on creative endeavors. It can be very stressful and so rewarding. And the reason we do it is because it's so rewarding, but it's also like, so much is on the line.
Yeah.
Right?
And then someone has to boss the other person, right?
Right.
So then that creates a funny, I end up being the boss, and I'm like, why don't you know this or whatever?
Oh yeah, you're the boss, you're the lover, you're the best friend, you're planning the wedding. Oh God.
I mean, feeding the cats, whatever.
Yeah, all the things that the domestic duties. But I think that's beautiful, and you're clearly living a life that you have created, and that's freedom, so.
Thank you.
Keep it up, my sister.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you'd like more, subscribe to the Feminized podcast on YouTube. Follow at Feminized with Liz Grow on Instagram. Special thanks to our sponsors Moose Labs and Richard's Rainwater. The Feminized podcast is a Grow House Media production, created by Liz Grow, produced by Patrick Pope and Tanis Ray, with original theme music and audio mixing by Q at Q to King Productions in New Braunfels, Texas.